Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 13 of the East Coast V8 series coming tonight from Phillip Island, where we're going to have 300 Ks, which will be an epic battle of endurance. And with me tonight, I've got my regular co-host, Mark Duggan. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks, John. How are you going?
Yeah.
Good to be here at Phillip Island, especially after seeing some great racing at the Phillip Island 500 on the weekend. So all these boys, or majority of these boys, are well and truly warmed up for this one.
Absolutely. And I know, talking with Adam Briggs after last week's race, he was telling me that he was planning on doing something like 500 laps of practice just for the Scots race. So I'm expecting James Scott and Adam Briggs and Dylan Rudd to be really on their game tonight.
Yeah, there was plenty of top tier drives on the weekend, and we've got quite a few of them drivers in with us tonight. So yeah, there should be some pretty hot racing up front.
Absolutely. So we might just quickly have a look at the track. So this Phillip Island circuit, of course, is basically 4.45 kilometres long, and we start running downhill down the Gardner Straight. Of course, this is the home of the Australian MotoGP, through the fast sweeping turn one, known as Doohan Corner, where we come into the Southern Loop. So the transition into the Southern Loop is quite a difficult corner to get right. We come steaming out of the Southern Loop through Stoner Corner, which is flat out top speed, and then we come heavily under brakes into Honda. So expect plenty of action tonight into Honda. It's one of the key overtaking parts on the circuit. We then come out of Honda, sweep through turn 5 into the big sweeping turn 6 down at Siberia. So now we're facing into the Southern Ocean. We swing back up through 7 and 8, past the hay shed, up through this fast turn 9. We head with a sweeping left-hand turn up over the crest of the hill at Lukey Heights, and then down into MG at turn 10. Another overtaking opportunity there. Then the boys have got to control the throttle through turn 11 as we then come around into the final turn 12, where we need to get a good exit out of there to get as much speed as we can down the Gardner Straight, where hopefully, if you're lucky enough, you can sit in someone's slipstream and do really well. And the lap record held here is by James Scott, which is a 126.824, which is an absolute cracking time, to say the least.
That's the sort of time that I would probably only get in a Formula One car, I would think, or on a MotoGP bike.
James does very well around this place. We might have a quick look at the championship standings. The 2 drop rounds have been taken out now, so we've got a true picture as we come into the final couple of rounds of the season. And Adam Briggs clearly out in front on 2,605 points. And then we've got a fairly even split then with James Chastity sitting in second spot with 2,319. Then it really tightens up between Jamie Dyke and Blake Warboys in third and fourth. And then Craig Schultz from the 9.5 in fifth. Damien Johnson not far behind him in sixth, with Cameron Jones, Jamie McKnight, all within striking distance to move themselves up the order a little bit more. Harrison Dengate is only 40 points back from McKnight. And then Kenny Ladder's a further 40 points back in 10th. So it is really tight at the top of the order there.
Yeah, there's some real good battles going on in the points championship there. Just a couple of mentions. Yeah, Craig Schultz, I think this is his first season with the East Coast boys. He's having a super consistent season, and good to see him sitting in fifth spot. And Jamie McKnight, the People's Champion, as usual, in the top 10, just chipping away week in, week out.
Yeah, very consistent. And as we run through here, we might jump back on and have a quick look at the qualifying positions. We'll quickly scroll through those. So in P1, we've got James Scott with a 126.966, sharing the front row, which is a great effort and great to see, is Dylan Rudd from 9.5 Sim Sport. And then on row 2, we've got Adam Briggs and Kenneth Ladder from Synergy Sim Racing. Row 3, we've got the hard charger from last week, Andrew Dyson, with Synergy Sim Racers, Damien Johnson, the next row back. Row 4 is WK&P Sim Sports, Blake Warboys and Harrison Dengate. Row 5 sees James Chastaneef and Stephen Varga. Great to see Vargas in the top 10. Cracking effort from him. Row 6 has Paul Young and Christian Smart from Synergy Sim Racing. Row 7, we've got Logan Barnett from Send It Sim Sports with Michael Whiting from Fishy in 14th position. Cameron G. Jones from Century Motorsports all the way back on row 8 and 15th next to Craig Schultz, who we just talked about. And row 9, we've got a new driver to the 9.5 Sim Sports boys, Gianni Lutzu, who I raced against in Porsches in the NTE series a couple of weeks back. He's a very fast driver, so keep an eye out for him. And he's lined up against Dylan O'Shea. And then in row 10, we have Dave Kirby from Fishy Motorsport with Hayden Norris from Riot Sim Racing. Matty Schultz from Riot is on row 11 with Blake Delaney. Row 12, way back, is the Jamie row with Jamie McKnight and Jamie Dyke. And then row 13, we've got Michael Angus and Bruce Tannick. Row 14, Andrew Ritchie and Dave Nash. And row 15, Matty Whitaker from Calamari Racing with Michael Brennan from 9.5 Sim Sports. Alan Dawson from Right Sim Racing in 31st with Matty G. Stewart from Vast Motorsport sitting in beside him in 32nd. Row 17, we've got Banter Alliance's Daryl Shannon with Warren Davis, his teammate, alongside. Row 18, Dave Coleman from Fishy with Ash Barella from WK&P Sim Sports. Row 19, see Stephen Lawrence from Riot Sim Sports with Roy Clark all the way back in 38th from Banter Alliance. Row 20 has Andrew Archer from Backmarker Racing with Jason Schollier from Century Motorsports. Row 21 has the one and only split 3 legend from Vets, Scotty Perrins from Pecky Performance Racing in 41st, lining up next to Rapid Team Rensport in 42nd, Jared Bailey, the first of our rear grid starters. And then on the last row, row 22 of the grid, we have Brenton Hobson from Synergy Sim Racing and Maddie Brunt from Synergy Sim Racing lining up in 44th. She's a full grid.
Yeah, that was a real mouthful, that one, John. And I'm not sure if Brenton's in the serve yet. He's only got a minute to get here, so hopefully he turns up. Always good to have Brenton racing with us in the East Coast Series. And I must say, him and Dylan Rudd have an epic battle at the Phillip Island 500 on Sunday.
I had a good long chat with Brenton Hobson last night. He had a great battle with Dylan, rated it very highly. And yeah, he absolutely loved battling it out with the 9.5 boys. And of course, 9.5 boys sat behind Blake behind Harrison for a fair while early on as well. Always a good bunch of blokes to race with. And a big shout out to Tracy Warboys, who's watching, supporting WK&P boys. Will Wilson's in the chat again. Great to have Will with us. And Pete Kelleher, always in the chat supporting the Synergy Sim Racing boys. So big shout out to all those guys in the chat. And if you are in the chat, let us know who you're supporting, who you're following, and we'll try and make sure we keep a close eye on them tonight. And don't forget to like and subscribe. As we're not too far away from going here, about 15 minutes till the boys start gridding up.
15 minutes or 15 seconds?
Seconds. Oops. And Sean McNamara is in there as well. So big shout out to Macca. Team boss in the 9.5 Sim Sport. As a checker flag comes out on practice. Don't know what those two idiots are doing, but anyway. I'm going to try.
Yeah, big shout out to Sean, who partnered up with Dylan to, I think they finished 5th, top 5 or 4th on the 500 on the weekend. That was a great effort from the 9.5 boys.
We've only got a couple of rounds left of the East Coast Series.
Going to go live here. This is race control.
Tonight we have 300 kilometres of Phillip Island to get ahead of us. 3 compulsory pit stops, only 1 pit stop per safety car period. Now, pit exit. I'm going to make a blanket rule that we want to see everyone using the short pit exit. We just feel that it's a safer option, and if anyone does use the long pit exit and there's an incident, it will be a penalty to the car that is on pit exit. If you use the short pit exit and there is an incident, it'll be the fault of the car on track. Just to keep that clear, make it easier, everyone use a short pit exit, give each other space on that pit exit line, and we'll be all safe and happy. All your stand rules are in effect. Good luck, have fun. I'll see you all at the checker flag.
And that was words there from our chief race steward, Sebastian Murray Westberg. What's your tips here, Mark? Who you reckon's going to get the job done?
Well, P1 in qualifying is James Scott. We all know how blisteringly fast James is, and it will be very, very tough to roll him tonight, I think. So my tip is James Scott, and then it is going to be a battle between Dylan Rudd, Adam Briggs, Andrew Dyson, Blake Warburg. Anybody in the next 12, 15 drivers can get on the podium. So it'll all come down to mistake-free driving, nailing your pit stops, getting your fuel and tyre strategy right. So looking forward to some really good racing tonight.
It's going to be pretty good, I think. I think keep an eye out for Briggsy, as Tom Freer's just put in the chat. Tom Briggsy for PM. I reckon our championship leader will be the man to watch, I think. Expecting big things from him. And, of course, want to see the WK&P boys in Harrison and Blake do well as well. As we've got about 30 seconds to go before we head off down the track. And of course, a long race like this, the boys will be making sure they're not using too much fuel on the grid. Some of them, like Stephen Varga, waiting to grid up to the last second. Make sure they haven't even got the car engine started. James Scott's just jumped on the grid now. So.
The other one I'm looking forward to is the new driver, Gianni Lutzu from 95 Simsport. It'll be very interesting to see how he goes tonight.
Yeah, I'll race against him in the Porsches as we're about to go. We've got gridding. Got 1 red, 2 red, 3 red, 4 red, 5 red, and we are green flag and we go. Great start from Adam Scott here. Gets the jump away on Dylan Rudd. Tries to break the toe a little bit. Dylan Rudd nicely slots in. So far so good. A little bit of, we've got somebody off in the background there. It looks like it might be Christian's Damien Johnson. Yeah, we'll come back to that one. It looks like he's safely on the grass, moving his way through. But James Scott here has the jump. Dylan Rudd nicely tucked in close behind. Briggsy a few car lengths back. And Harrison Dengate's had a pretty good start as well, getting the jump on Warboys. Up 2 spots already. And Dave Coleman's had a crash. We might just let this roll out for a second. A little bit tight coming into Honda in the background there. A lot of 2 wide cars. But James Scott looks like he's got this under control.
Yeah, usual professional start from James, and Dylan Rudd got a good jump too. Adam Briggs also looking good in 3rd place. Not sure what happened to Damien Johnson. It's a real shame for him, but he's got a lot of kilometres in front of him, so he'll be able to make some spots back up.
Well, this car's still going in 27th as we now come around into the final corner. They head back down the Gardner Straight to complete the first lap of 68. James Scott getting a nice jump here. Dylan Rudd about half a second back and getting a little bit of a slipstream. And of course, Adam Briggs will be in the same slipstream there. So we'll be settling in now to a cracking pace for these guys. Our lace top 10 are all within half a second of each other.
Good jump from the WK&P boys as well. Harrison and Blake both doing another. They drove really well on the weekend as well, and no surprises to see them sitting nicely inside the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely cracking drive on the weekend from those boys. I had the pleasure at WK&P TV of being the onboard commentary for the night, for the day, so that's in the channel. We might just run back, have a quick look. There's been another accident involving Cameron Jones, another one, and Craig Schultz. So we might just have a quick look here and see if they're related. Supercheap auto replay. This is Cameron Jones. This is coming into Honda. Looks like Dylan O'Shea was a bit hot. And Schultz has just clipped Jones in the end there in the clean-up of all that. A little bit unlucky for Schultz. A little bit unlucky for Jones. And I'm sure race control will have a bit to look at there. And just as we start to settle into this, we might try and have a look what happened to Damien Johnson on lap 1. So slight touch for Chastity there, got him off sideways, managed great car control, got it under control and managed to slot himself back in. So good recovery, could have been a lot worse. James Scott here has commanding control of this race. Dylan Rudd hanging on to the back of him. Adam Briggs, Kenny Ladder not far behind that. It's good to see Ken sitting in P4. Had a shocker of a weekend on Sunday at Scops. Andrew Dyson in 5th. And then we've got Harrison Dengate, Blake Warboys, James Chasteneth and Paul Young. So the BAR boys rounding out our top 10 with Stephen Varga. So great to see Vargas in the top 10 as well.
Yeah, good to see some of the V8 veteran boys doing well here tonight. That was a real shame for Cameron Jones and Craig Schultz there. Really innocent parties in a accident that shouldn't have really happened. And yeah, another unlucky one for Damien Johnson with iRacing giving extended, damage or extended forces put through the car and forcing him off the track. So I think in real life circumstances, that one with Damien Johnson wouldn't result in much happening at all.
Yeah, it's a bit rough how sometimes a bit of side contact can affect the balance of the car quite a lot. And then on the other side of the coin, there we go, Dylan O'Shea getting the penalty for what we saw. And then other times, I've seen cars without a rear wing and you struggle to hang on to them. But that's an iRacing glitch, which hopefully one day will be improved. A little bit of a lock up there from Dengate. These boys all looking nicely composed here.
Yeah, everybody looking cool, calm and collected at the moment. And yeah, you're right with the iRacing glitches, but the few small gripes we have about iRacing, there's plenty of good things about it as well, and that's why we're all here to enjoy what these boys are doing and enjoy a few laps ourselves now and then, and yeah, bring a smile to our faces, the drivers' faces and the viewers' faces.
Absolutely. I think Vets is a classic example with 100+ drivers on the roster and 3 splits, and I think the boys in split 3 have just as much fun and drive just as hard as the boys in split 1. That's Logan Barnett. He's managed to keep it straight. Don't know how. That was a big tank slapper coming down Gardner Straight. Dengate under pressure again from War Boys here. Tom Freo in the chat giving Harrison Dengate a big compliment, saying he drove well on Sunday with Blake. He has good pace in Phillip Island. And Dylan Rudd now under a bit of pressure from our championship leader, Adam Briggs. And Jamie McKnight calling into race control. So I'm not sure what happened with Jamie. Might see if we can find that in the system.
Yeah, that was a pretty messy there down at MG Corner, I think it was. There's a lot of cars kind of banking up into each other.
Yeah, let's go to the replay. We'll have a quick look. That's Jamie getting tapped in the back and getting squeezed.
Right.
So there's a few in that one. Logan Barnett, Andrew Ritchie. There was a big shout out to the Andrew Ritchie cheer squad watching tonight. And yeah, poor old Andrew meeting the sandwich. So anyway, we'll leave that one to race control to have a look at. We'll jump back up the front where it's still fairly tight. an unsafe rejoin to Logan Barnett. I'm not sure what that one was exactly for.
Drive-through penalty car 011, unsafe rejoin.
Right, Dylan Ruddy under all sorts of pressure from Adam Briggs. Wow, hang on. Apologies, first time in the chat in a long time. I'm being spammed, even though I've got a 1 minute hold on the subscriber only chat, but that's all right. Of course, if you are out there watching, make sure you let us know you're supporting. I know we've got a huge Synergy Sim Racing cheer squad out there tonight. James Scott doing very well with Adam Briggs tucked in third. Kenny Ladder having a blinder in fourth. About 2 seconds back from these boys. And then Andrew Dyson from simrig.com DPR back in fifth spot. And Harrison Dengate now under pressure from Warboys, and Warboys getting the job done, getting past him. So Warboys about 0.9 behind Andrew Dyson, sorry. Just distracted by making sure I got rid of that stuff in the chat.
Yeah, Blake hopefully can pick up that toe from Andrew and drag him and Harrison back up to the back of that battle pack and, yeah, see if they can make their way forward.
Absolutely. A big shout out to Will Wilson too for letting me know I've got the audio levels and everything right tonight. It becomes a bit of a juggle from broadcast to broadcast, especially when Friday nights I've got 10 to 15 people in Discord with us, and they all speak with different volumes. So yeah, thanks for that one, mate. And jump back to this front pack. These guys are all still, yeah, Bruce Tannick with a drive-through penalty. That would have been that incident we looked at before for midnight.
1, 2, 3, contact with 011, leading to contact with multiple cars on the left side.
Oh, excuse me. Want to have a quick look? Varg still sitting in 10th.
Yeah, just going back through the field there, P12 Gianni Lutzu with his first race with us tonight, I believe. I'm not sure how long he's been racing V8s, but doing a stellar job just outside the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, great to see a new face in the league. Of course, as I said earlier in the broadcast, race against Gianni in the NTE E-Series, or the NTE Series, just put on by Jake Burgess. Very fast driver in the Porsche 992. Drove very well in that series in the race that I saw him, and yeah, he's very quick. And Will Wilson's just saying he's seen him in the Formula 3s, so he's definitely doing well. And Mac has just told us it's only his second race in a V8, so to be sitting in 12th in this league in his second race, he's having an absolute blinder. You got a bit of a star here coming, I think, Macca.
Yeah, not wrong. I think, you know, a couple of miles under the belt, and he's going to be right at the pointy end of these V8 fields.
Yeah, but yeah, as I said, when I saw him in the NT series, he was very, very clever driver. Drove well, very smart. So wish him all the best with 9-5 boys. Couldn't be with a better team, and I think, yeah, we're going to see big things from this kid, I think. As we jump up the front, James Scott's under a bit of pressure here now from Dylan Rudd. And I'm going to jump on this one while I can, Mark. Well, a quick look. Well, I know these guys are battling close up here. Our hard charger at the moment is this fella, the one and only Banter Alliance Racing, Roy Clark. He's up 13 spots into 24th. I just thought I'd give that one a quick shout out. That's worthy of it, and we'll jump back up to this close battle up the front.
Yeah, good on Roy. He's known for his ducking and weaving.
And he thinks I only ever show him when he's had an accident, so cheers to that one, Roy. Of course, a few of these vets drivers talk to me quite regularly outside of these broadcasts, so it's nice to give back as good as I get. But
Not sure if any of these front boys are in fuel saving mode or they're just going a flat stick and letting the race come to them.
Yeah, I'll work on that one, Will. There's a SDK trick to that, and I'm not sure how that works, but anyway. Pretty sure you've seen Luke do it. Luke's a pro. Big shout out to Luke from Race Stars TV. Big supporter of what we do here with this broadcast. Go have a chat to the man.
Yeah, Luke is a pro. His broadcasts are always silky smooth and they sound great, they look great, and he does a great job commentating, and he's a real credit to the sim racing community.
Absolutely, and you know, to sum it up, you know, what people probably don't realise, or some people probably know it, but Luke from Race Stars TV is the director, the man behind the broadcasts for the Logitech G Pro Series, which of course he has Jake Blackall and Stephen Sandman Clark as the commentators. No, but Luke's the brains behind all the footage that comes out of that series. So take my hat off to him, because that is a top-notch production if you haven't seen one of those races. Doesn't sound like there's much fuel saving going on there, Mark.
No, definitely not from James, that's for sure. And well, I'm sure Dylan and the boys sitting in the draft will be saving a fraction if they can, because as you know, John, like whatever you can save in the pits while you're stationary is a huge gain on track.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, we're only 11 laps down of 68. So still a long way to go on the first tank here, but 3 compulsory stops. You could expect some of these guys to split this up and come in at about lap 22, 23. And some other guys might try and drive the tank long. We might just have a quick look at Matty Whitaker, who's just had an incident. Jump on the Supercheap Auto replay. Another big dive down into Honda. And bit of a clip there.
Have a look at turn 4 on lap.
And a little bit unfortunate.
Copy that, turn 4 left.
I did say at the start of the broadcast, we'd see a lot of the action coming in from Honda. And we reckon Briggs is fuel saving. So let's jump on board. Where are we? Coming into Honda now. We might jump on the gyro and have a quick listen to what Briggs is up to. A little bit going on there, a little bit of fuel saving.
Yeah, a little bit of fuel saving, a bit of short shifting, but yeah, like makes it look like driving these V8 supercars very easy. Adam Briggs is doing at the moment. It's silky smooth operation there.
Absolutely, and that's why he's our championship leader. And almost about to say championship elect, but still a couple of races to go. These boys absolutely clearing out. I reckon they're on a bit of a train. Might jump back, have a look at a few of the other boys. Craig Schultz working his way back here as we've got Michael Brennan and Dave Nash. And we've crossed to that one at the wrong time. Dave Kirby's gone off. And we had Dylan. We had someone duck into the pits a second ago. We had
Dyson, has he disappeared?
Andrew Dyson, yeah, sorry.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's down in 33rd at the moment.
Blake Warboys has ducked in early as well. I thought we might have gone a bit longer. We might jump back, have a look at Andrew Dyson working his way back through. Running a slightly different livery tonight. What we normally see him here in the series. Maybe a new team livery. New team sponsor on the side. Exodus Racing. Not sure what the go is there. Well, I know Shea was in the standard Simbury livery, so anyone's out there who knows the story of that one, let us know. Paul Young still doing quite well. He's running in 7th. He's up 4 spots. Teammate James Chasneef in front, but under all sorts of pressure from V8 Vets legend Christian Smart.
Yeah, Christian had a great drive here in the Vets round last Thursday night, taking out the win, and came up under a lot of pressure during that race, but stood firm and yeah, really drove a mistake-free race and got a great result for himself and the team.
Yeah, and of course it was also his 50th Vets race, so it was quite a fitting to win his 50th race. It's quite good. Kenny Ladders had an incident on a pit entry or pit exit, so let's have a quick look what's happened there. If I can get that quick enough. And could just be iRacing playing funny games. No, he's found the grass. Crunch. Ouch. That's a bummer. She's a tough entry. This one you come in very hot. There's Young's having a look here on Smart. And we might just try and keep abreast of what's going on with our lead 3. They're all still nose to tail.
Yeah, Dylan Rudd doing a great job in the Synergy Sim Racing Sandwich at the moment. Dylan, of course, had a great drive on the weekend, but yeah, he's just the meat and the sandwich right now, but all 3 of these drivers doing an epic job.
Absolutely. We've got some really good battles here. We've got this group here, then a little bit further back we've got the young Varga, Christian Smart. So Vargas has actually worked his way up into 7th now. He's lashed on the back of this battle here with Paul Young. That's almost like watching a Vets race. These 3 boys. Michael Whiting's ducked into the pits now as well. And Andrew Dyson's still our leader out of the guys that have been in the pits, so he's jumped Black War Boys. It's for lap 16 of 68. And a few more boys are diving in now, starting to follow suit with Warren Davis, Craig Schultz, Darren Shannon, Cameron Jones and Andrew Ritchie. So it sounds like that was a dice roll from the BAR boys. Look for more rolling in. And of course, they are working quite hard in there. And let's have a quick look back at how Dengate's going after he's come out. He's come out behind Jared Bailey. He's trying to work his way back through traffic. Getting the job done as well. So starting to get a bit of a muddled up field here, but it's still our lead three guys. Starting to deal with a bit of traffic. James Scott, Dylan Rudd and Adam Briggs all separated by a second. And they're about 14 seconds ahead of James Chastaneef, which is that group we're looking at behind before. And Gian Lutzi and Matthew Schultz now have ducked into the pits. There's still a long way to go here, only 17 to 68.
Yeah, there's a lot of kilometres still to be covered, but yeah, a couple of interesting things with James Scott, Dylan Rudd and Adam Briggs all still out there running long. James Chastaneef and Christian Smart also. And yeah, like a big shout out to James Chastaneef. He's I think he's sitting second or third in the championship, and he's currently fourth on track. So he's doing a great job tonight and doing a great job in the championship.
Yeah, Chassie's been Mr. Consistent, which has been fantastic to see for the BAR boys. Of course, the first season of the merger of PRA and EMU, forming up as the Banter Alliance.
Yeah, Paul Young, another one of their drivers, doing extremely well, and Paul's a very quick driver in his own right. He's currently sitting in sixth position, and you know, I think Paul just needs a little bit of change of luck sometimes, and you would see him be a lot further up the championship order than what he is.
Absolutely, as Chassie and Paul Young go in. Of course, we've got other drivers in that team in Warren Davis and Andrew Ritchie. Of course, Andrew Ritchie has his regular cheer squad in AJJK and Handsome Dave cheering him on. A big shout out to those boys. There's a little bit of traffic starting to be dealt with here as well, which is going to make things a bit interesting for these lead guys.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get really tricky, and you know, like sometimes the traffic can fall your way, or sometimes it can really go against you. So all these boys need to be right on top of their game at the moment.
Absolutely. And still a long way to go. But if you're going to do that even split, you'll be starting to think about your first stop. So it's going to be really a case out of these three boys, as James has pulled away a little bit. And it's going to be a case out of these three boys, who blinks first. And of course, Andrew Dyson, he's working his way back through the pack. He was our first pit stopper, or first one to blink. And Chris Smart's gone in, Stephen Vargas gone in. So we're starting to see the SSR boys show their hand. But Andrew Dyson's the man to watch on track at the moment. He's sitting in 8th as he gets past the People's Champion, Jamie McKnight. Car looking a little bit second hand there on the side. Sure, Wave Runner will not be very impressed with the logo swiped out. Or his team boss will be talking to him about that one.
Yeah, we know how impeccably the People's Champion likes to keep his sim cars and his real cars.
It's a bad Mazda 3, or RX3 nut is young Jamie. We get a chance to see some of the photos of his car. It is exquisite. Right, he's doing reasonably well. McKnight was also known to go long with fuel, so we should see how he goes here. Barella and Archer in the pits. As we jump back up front, James Scott's 0.6 ahead of Dylan Rudd, who's 0.3 ahead of Adam Briggs. So these guys are still in close proximity. Someone's got a blink, and it's James Scott. I wouldn't have picked that. I thought it might have been Adam Briggs to blink first.
Well, I think, you know, the advantage for Adam Briggs and James Scott is that they're in the same team, so they can split their strategies. So now Dylan Rudd's got the question put to him: does he cover James Scott or does he roll with Adam Briggs? You know, so I would be guessing that Dylan may pit this lap, but
Oh, you'd have to. You'd have to go with it. He's run so well behind James.
the undercut's already been had, but also looking at traffic ahead, Dylan's probably seeing them cars in front and thinking, I don't want to lose more time behind these boys, so it might be time to duck in.
Of course, you got Matty Brunt and Chibarella fighting in front of him. Cameron Jones latched onto the back as a lapped car.
Yeah, it was bad luck for Cameron to be an innocent victim in Dylan O'Shea's. Yeah, so that put paid to Cameron's race for now, but he may get a safety car and be able to get that back.
And let's see where we roll in.
Yeah, these boys had no choice but to pit when they were stuck behind that traffic.
Yep, Dylan Rudd's team boss has just made the call, box out of traffic, so, and Briggsy's followed him, which is a good call. I probably would have done the same. So our effective on-track race leader, we've got a car stopped. I might just quickly have a look. He's got it rolling again. That was Hayden Norris, but Damien Johnson is going to be effectively our race leader if he doesn't box this time. So he's going that little bit longer. But Andrew Dyson's the one who pitted early. So it'll be interesting to see whether that strategy pays off in the long run with track position.
Yeah, well, Andrew's no newcomer to these cars or strategizing on races, and no surprises to see him roll the dice and try and gain some on-track advantage through the pit stops.
Warboys has just jumped Briggs, and Rudd has managed to get himself out in front of Briggs. So I'm not sure what happened with Briggs in the pit stop there, but he's lost a couple of seconds. Warboys has put himself right into the thick of this battle now. So we still have Damien Johnson out in front to pit, but Andrew Dyson with the early stop has gotten the jump on everybody as we roll that one up. And Rudd's still got a pit as well. So, sorry I got that wrong before when I called that, but yeah, it's going to get interesting. I thought Rudd had pitted. Did pit. So not sure that hasn't updated, but anyway, it's going to get interesting, I think.
My timing saying that James Scott is actually behind Adam Briggs as well.
Yes, correct. I missed that one. Thanks, mate. It's actually behind Warboys.
So it could be a case of people taking on more fuel than other drivers, trying to make their next pit stop a little bit shorter.
And John Stone's ducked in. Dyson with that early stop, that's going to see how the strategy plays out as we move on from here. So he's definitely on a different strategy to the other boys and going as early as what he did. I might just throw the graphic back up. So of course he went in on lap 12. So it's quite early in a strategy call. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. And James Scott, yeah, sitting back in 5th at the moment. So I'd say might have put on more fuel, I think, could be the answer there, Sean. I can bring that strat up. Let's go back to the battle boxes. Pit lane time. Pit time. So there you go. James Scott took on an extra 9 seconds worth of fuel, so he's fueled it long. Briggs went with 5 seconds. And Warboys with 20. And Dyson went with 18.5. So he didn't go for a long fill in that first stop. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how this starts to play out with our strategy over the next 10 to 15 laps. And of course, we've gone 22 without a safety car. As I quickly look and see car 42 has stopped on track. He's going to get it going again. Scotty Perrins still rolling. Good to see Scotty out there having a real crack. Big step up from split 3 with aids, driving aids, to racing in a series without driving aids. He's held himself pretty well so far.
Yeah, good on Scotty for getting out here and having a go. He's he puts a lot of time into his sim racing, and he's a genuinely really nice guy. So good to have you here, Scotty.
Big improver in vets this season, Scotty. And had a couple of ding-dong battles with him, and Dave Worrell has as well. So, of course, Dave, one of our stewards tonight. So a big shout out to Dave Worrell.
Yeah, interesting, the safety car situation here. We don't often see a lot of safety cars at Phillip Island. Usually in the first lap of the race we might get one, you know, if we get a pile up at Honda or somewhere, but generally there's quite a bit of runoff. So, and with most drivers being at the skill level they are in this series, you don't often see a lot of safety cars. So unless someone blows a motor, I'm not really expecting too much in the way of safety cars.
Yeah, it makes it quite difficult. You've got to back your strategy and stick with it. We might just jump back to another battle pack here. Stephen Varga sitting at the back of this train, putting all sorts of pressure on Blake Delaney, running the retro livery for Fishy, which is a great looking livery in itself. Fishy boys have done really good with that one. And of course, in front of Blake, we've got Gianni Lutsu doing really well. Very composed. And in front of Gianni, we've got Paul Young and Christian Smart, still nose to tail, battling it out.
Yeah, no strangers, them two boys battling out together tonight, and constantly battling out on a Thursday night with the V8 Veteran Series.
Yeah, we might have a bit more of a look through the pack, come a bit further back and say good day to a few others. Ash Brella's up 9 spots in 27th. Great drive for Ash, who tonight admitted he hasn't done much lap time, been too busy playing league administrator. Big thank you to Ash, because it's a tough job and someone's got to do it. Might have a bit further back, Michael Angus, great to see Michael out there, another one of the Fishy boys. Michael down a few spots, but still running around in 32nd. Roy Clark's up 3 spots into 34th. So he's dropped a little bit on his pit stop, so might have fueled a bit longer. Jamie McKnight's just passing Warren Davis here. People's champion, getting the job done. Warren tucking in behind. And we've got another car stopped with James Shollier. Coming out of Honda. Taking the scenic route. Jared Bailey into the pits for his second stop. Andrew Dyson now starting to get under a bit of pressure from Dylan Rudd, which is great to see. Bit of action up front. As Dylan Rudd's about to take P1. Gets the job done. So those tyres of Dyson obviously starting to get a bit old. Tyre wear is a factor around this place, even though we have cool track temperatures.
Yeah, lots of loaded tyres around here, and yeah, like they do drop off fairly dramatically around this place. You only really get 1 or 2 really good laps out of the tyres, and then they start to fall away.
Yeah.
Basically, Golf 307 corner end of lap 24, please.
So Dave Kirby's had an incident. We might just take a cheat here and go Supercheap Auto replay. Bit of a tap with one of the BAR boys onto the grass. Bit of speedway sideways driving. Gets control, brings it back on. Definitely cooled his tyres down.
Yeah, cooled the tyres down, but damaged the paint. I think
Yep.
Roy Clark was the other driver involved in that one.
Oh no. Not Roy. I'll be in trouble for showing that now. Might just jump back to that Paul Young battle. These boys are all still tightly, closely knitted. So Chris Smart, Paul Young, Gianni Lutzu, and Blake Delaney and Stephen Varga latching onto the back of these boys. These boys.
This is a real nice looking battle group here.
Yeah, I expect something to come of this one shortly. We've got another car off track. I think's just got going, which I think was Logan Barnett. So a few boys starting to make a few little mistakes. Nothing too serious, just little offs, but hurts your race.
Yeah, that's a thing. You know, in any of these series, you one small mistake that just, you know, watches you tumble down the order rapidly, and you know it's very hard to come back from it.
Great little battle here between Delaney and Varga. The back of these boys. And you got to be careful as well, because you can see how a little battle that they said like coming in MG has just broken them out of the toe of that group.
Yeah, that's the one thing about the V8 supercars, that if you can stay in the tow, one, you can save, you know, a decent amount of fuel, but once that tow's broken, it's really, really hard to get it back, and you start to lose ground very quickly. Stephen Varga putting on a nice move there against Blake Delaney to jump up another position.
Driving well, Stephen Varga. Great to see him running in the top 13. Wasn't started top 10, but sure he'll fight his way back up there. And Paul Young under all sorts of pressure from Lutzu here. So some great battles all round. He's trying to keep up with a few. We might jump back to a bit further. Damien Johnstone's working his way back through after that earlier incident on lap 1. He's up into 22nd at the moment, putting all sorts of pressure on Matty Schultz.
Yeah, Damien be really hoping for a safety car here tonight, I think. Him and Cameron Jones as well. You know, kind of innocent victims with their races, kind of going pear-shaped very quickly tonight.
Absolutely. We might just jump back up to Paul Young. Lutzy was looking like he was having a move on him there. Being very defensive by Paul. Lutzy looks to the outside. Got to be very careful changing your line to the outside under brakes into that corner.
Yeah, these cars certainly don't like to have your foot on the brake and turning oil at the same time. They certainly step out very quickly.
Let's shout out to Jordan Ross, who was showing me an example of that from Scops on the weekend. Into Honda. Also reassured me that there's no team orders at SSR.
Other than someone better bloody win.
And get out of the way of Jordan was the other one that was mentioned to me from someone else in the team, but I'm not going to say who. Big shout out to Jordan Ross, good friend of mine. Love having a chat to him, and great to have this Synergy team supporting this series with their large numbers and high quality of drivers, and absolutely enjoy calling the coverage every week.
Yeah, they've got a big team, but the team is full of great drivers, and they are big supporters of this series. So yeah, it's It's a pleasure to have the Synergy Sim boys in here.
Absolutely. As our championship leader, Adam Briggs, sitting in third, is now nicely tucked up behind Andrew Dyson. So a little bit twitchy coming down in MG there from Andrew. So allow Briggsy to tuck up behind. So Briggsy definitely well and truly in the tow here. Could be fuel saving.
Yeah, the tyres on Adam's car are certainly a lot younger than Andrew's, but Andrew is a very experienced campaigner and knows exactly where to place the car.
Doing very good so far. Of course, this is allowing Adam Scott to close up behind Briggs a little. As Scotty Perrins has had an incident. It's parked in the middle there. Sure, it looks like he's going to get it going. I'll just go to the replay and have a look how Scotty got there. Just a little wide, clip the grass. That'll do it every time. And manages to keep it off the fence. Oh, there's a tow request. We could potentially have a safety car here, Mark. No, it's a long way off the track. They've still got to remove the car off the circuit.
No safety car, no safety car.
No safety car.
You can tow, continue racing.
There we go. You've heard it fair. Heard it straight from race control. No safety car.
Yeah, he's in a safe position there, so no surprises that they didn't call the safety car. As I just saw one of the Century Motorsport cars off the side of the track there.
Yeah, I just saw that. I think it... I'm not sure which one it was.
Okay, race control. 927, go ahead. 30, turn 1.
I think it might have been Michael Lang, Jason Shollier might have been the one we saw off, Mark. Just going back through my notes. James Scott now having a little look on Dyson. Looks like he's going to get it through here.
Andrew making it very tough for James Scott at the moment, not giving him an inch to place his car where he doesn't want it. We saw Adam get a good run down into Honda and make the move, but so far James has not been able to get it done, although here he comes down the inside at MG. That was a big move and a great overtake there. Great car control from James Scott.
Can only dream of doing that. Like making it stick. If I did that, I'd be in the tyre barrier on the other side of the road, still pointing in a straight line.
And not even a lock brake there.
Skill and ability of some of these guys is really first class, which is great to see. Great to watch.
Someone we haven't talked about a lot in the last few minutes is Dylan Rudd doing an epic job out in front. He's got a 1.5 second lead at the moment, and yeah, looking pretty comfortable. So clearly they had a good run on the weekend. They've got a good setup. They've got plenty of miles in the bank, and yeah, Dylan's doing a great job.
Great to see. Drive-through penalty to Michael Angus for an unsafe rejoin. And Sean McNamara commenting that there's a little bit of damage on the rear of James Scott's car, which might be hurting his straight line pace a little bit.
It certainly didn't affect his braking performance down into MG just the lap previous.
No.
Thank you.
Dylan Rudd doing quite well.
Interesting observation there from Sean. You know, maybe that is affecting his straight line speed. I'm not sure.
There's got a few of these back markers diving into the pits, and Richie, Shannon, Angus and Barnett.
Andrew Dyson's in again.
Yep. So that's all making their second stop, so don't forget we've got to make 3 compulsory stops tonight. Of course, Dyson in the pits. Dylan Rudd and Briggs both pitted on lap 20. James Scott went in on 19 and Warboys went in on 13. So probably be expecting to see Warboys peel off shortly to go back in. And of course, Chassaneef was 17. Harrison Dengate went in on 14 with Whiting on 15. So just interesting to see how some of these fuel strategies start to pay out. And bearing in mind, James Scott put a little bit more fuel in than everyone else around him at that first stop. So probably expect James Scott to go a little bit longer.
Yeah, just out of interest, I just looked at James down the front straight the previous lap, and he topped out at 280. So that's wasn't really in the toe of anyone. So I'll be interested to see how the other front runners go top end speed wise, to see if that damage is affecting James's straight line speed.
Dylan looking very stable here with a 1.5 second or 1.3 second lead from Adam Briggs. James Scott a little bit further behind. Michael Whiting's peeled off. Before we get into this round of stops here, we might take a quick opportunity to have a quick advertisement from our major sponsor, Supercheap Auto.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We won't argue.
And people who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small. And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name. Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super.
Well, it's a big shout out, big thank you to Supercheap for supporting the series. And we might just jump back. Gian Lutzu and Paul Young still battling away. Christian Smart just in front of these guys.
Car 205, you have taken that position,
And it's had a car tow without permission, being one of the fishy boys.
Yeah, that was Michael Angus, who's towed without permission. So that's an instant disqualification from this series. And I think you find most series have that policy that if you tow without asking race control's permission, you are disqualified from the results.
We'll just have a quick look at the incident led to that. Just lost it again. Where am we?
Yeah, I didn't hear him call anything in, but
Well, in a bit of an incident with Bruce Tannick, and then not sure. I think that might have been Kenny Ladder caught up in the middle of that one. I might just jump on with Kenny for a second. A little bit too late with Kenny. Jump on this one. Oh yeah. Angus caught up there with Tannick, I think. And Tannick was the one on the grass, so yeah. Leave that one up to race control as we jump back up towards the front, where Dylan Rudd's 1.2 ahead of Adam Briggs.
oh, Kenny Ladder, his luck at Phillip Island this week has been non-existent.
Yeah, it's just really feel for him, mate. Had a very rough gig on Sunday, and today's not much better. I think he'll be quite happy when this race is over, I think.
Yeah, it's such a shame because Kenneth has got plenty of speed in his own right, and by rights he should be up there battling with the guys at the front. But bad luck. Well, the slight mistake into pit lane entry has kind of put him back amongst some incidents that he might not otherwise have been involved in. So, in some ways, you make one mistake yourself, and it just compounds and compounds.
Yeah, it's unfortunate part of motorsport, that one. Warboys, Dengate, Smart have all ducked into the pits as well, just while we're talking about that. So, starting to see the second round of pit stops start to play out. And of course, Andrew Dyson is the leader of our second stoppers, and he's sitting in 6th spot at the moment. He's only 4.8 seconds back from Jamie Dyke. And Michael Whiting is the second of our second stoppers as well, sitting in 7th. But he's a fair way back from Dyson. Dyson showing some pretty good pace here. It's great to see.
Yeah, well, Andrew's out there on fresh tyres again, and in clean air, so no surprises that he's laying down some good lap times.
And a black flag and disqualification for Tannick, so not sure what that one's about. We'll just leave that one there.
I think Bruce Tannick was involved with that incident with Michael Angus, and the unfortunate byproduct of that was Kenneth Lutter getting T-boned.
Yeah. And we've got another car stopped on track, I think. Cameron Jones is way off on the infield there. Got no idea where he's going. Looking for another way into the pits, I think. But another round of stops. Jamie Dyke's now gone in. So we still have Dylan Rudd in front of Adam Briggs. And James Scott now tucked right up behind Briggsy. And
I think that straight line speed we thought James Scott might have lost. May not be quite what we thought it was.
Yeah. So just to update everybody, the leader of our 2 stoppers at the moment is in 5th, which is Andrew Dyson. And actually I might just put up the pit lap number so we can all see that. So Dyson, of course, pitted on lap 32, and Rudd Briggs on 20, and James Scott on 19, Chastity on 17. So I probably expect Chastity to be the first one to roll in out of that top 4. As starting to deal with a little bit of traffic for Dylan Rudd at the moment as he tries to work his way past Damien Johnson. Damien, another one of the hard luck stories from this evening.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Damien. He's a regular front runner in this series, and for him to be taken out on lap 1, well, not taken out, he was just involved in a pretty minor incident really, but iRacing had other ideas of how it wanted to deal with it.
And Dengate just getting past Chris Smart here. Some nice side-by-side racing.
So Dylan Rudd has decided to come into pit rather than get caught up behind Andrew Johnson for another lap. So yeah, he's decided to get himself out of traffic and maybe get another undercut on the boys behind him.
It's a great little battle here with Delaney, Dengate and Smart.
Adam Briggs has blown his motor by the look of it.
What the? Yep. Oh no. This is huge. Our championship leader, Adam Briggs.
Just caught it out of the corner of my eye that he was going very slowly, and then I saw the smoke coming out of the back of the car.
Just to answer your question, Pete. Just trying to find the great man himself. He's doing reasonably well. He's running in 23rd, up 19 spots, is Matty Brunt. But this is a big blow for Briggs. Did have a big gap on the leaderboard for the championship, but probably can't afford too many of these things. And James Scott's ducking into the pits. Adam Briggs still second on the road. Dylan Rudd's got a 30-lap run home. Don't forget, Macca, we've got to do 3 stops. There's still another stop to be suckered in the middle there somewhere.
Briggs has done a great job to get that car back to the pit lane without bringing out a safety car.
And Scott's in there, so this is going to put Rudd potentially back into P1.
See on the side of Adam's car, it is absolutely covered in oil.
And plenty of smoke. And of course the boys have one fast repair, so hopefully Adam didn't use that in the first stop or any minor incidents. But Andrew Dyson, he's got about a 4.5 second lead here from James Scott. Dylan Rudd sitting nicely in third, travelling by himself at the moment. The next battle we've really got on track is now Adam Briggs. He's managed to get out after that stop. Oh, Wallboy's locking the brakes up. That's not going to help. Trying to hunt Briggs down, but Briggs has dropped back to 5th, so being able to limp it back to the pits, he hasn't hurt him too much.
That was a great effort to limp it back to the pits without launching the engine completely. So usually when I do that, it's just nuts and bolts everywhere and doesn't move.
Absolutely. Still plenty of battling going on. We'll jump back. We have a look here. Gian Liuzzi, who's gotten past Harrison Dengate. Dengate with a bit of pressure now from Blake Delaney and Christian Smart. So still plenty of battles everywhere in the pack. And Paul Young, James Chastity still running close together. Chastity probably tucking in behind his teammate, getting some good fuel saving done. And let's have a look a bit further down the pack. Another good battle going on between Matty Stewart and Hayden Norris. Hayden Norris, of course, from Wright Simsport. And like Andrew Archer sitting just in front of these guys as well. So big shout out to the Backmarker Racing boys. Another team that joined the series from season 1 and done really well with it.
Yeah, they're a good bunch of boys. Turn up here every week, race hard, get some good results. Always good, clean races, and yeah, they're good supporters of the series. Just an interesting note that James Scott has jumped Dylan Rudd, so that first pit stop where James took on the extra fuel has now balanced itself back out, and he's now sitting in P2.
Yeah, of course, you look at that pit stop time there. Dylan Rudd stopped for 27.2, Scott for 20.5, so that 7 seconds makes a big difference. A big shout out, of course, speaking of season 1, to the godfather of the East Coast Series, Mr. Ben Anthony. Created an amazing league, mate. You should be very proud of what we've achieved here. And I hope you're enjoying your time off, mate, and having fun.
I hope he's put that sim rig together and is making use of it.
Hearing stories he might be signing up for next season because he's got to get himself race fit for vets a bit later on in the year. That's what I'm hearing. Someone's throwing down the challenge to me in split 3. That's the rumour going around the paddock. And of course, sorry, mate.
I'll have a look on I'll have a look on Sports Bets tonight to see if that's actually factual.
And of course, big shout out to Stephen Murray, who sat on WK&P TV on Sunday afternoon for the team onboard coverage. Helped out with a bit of the fuel strategy. So very much appreciated, Stephen. And we might jump back up the front. Andrew Dyson now is under a bit of pressure from James Scott. James is now close to within a second.
And it seems like James has decided it's go time, and he's laying down the gauntlet. His quickest lap of the race so far was the previous lap of a 1:27.985, so quickest on track by a fair margin.
Let's have a quick look at that best lap time. So yeah, definitely 1:27.985. Just top that with a 1:27.98. Getting past Dyson.
Yep, James proven how quick he is. He's the only driver tonight to breach into the 1:27. So yeah, really demonstrating how quick he is, not only over race distance, but it's his qualifying proved in one lap flyers as well.
And of course, we're now about to start lap 44 of 68. So we're starting to wind down. 300k race. Be a bit of work for these boys. Of course, they only did T50 each on the weekend, so it's a bit longer than what they did on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a long stint when you have to do it all in one go. It's it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to a lot of things on the boil all at once with your pit strategy, your tyre strategy, battling traffic. So yeah, the boys have so far done a pretty good job tonight. There hasn't been any major incidents, and yeah, everybody's doing an epic job keeping the racing clean.
Let's have a quick look at that Jian Lutzu, who's in his first race in the series. Still battling away with Paul Young. Venture Alliance boys here doing a really good job, running in the top 10 in 8th, with Chastity, his teammate in front of him, in 7th.
Yeah, these two, Paul Young and Gianni, have been seems like a race-long battle. They've been kind of nose to tail for a long time now, so obviously some very good, respectful racing going on there.
Of course, I believe it's only his third race in a V8, so showing plenty of good pace, plenty of good racecraft. So going to be excited to see how he goes next season. Gianni racing under the 9.5 SimSport banner with one of Sean McNamara's boys. Expecting big things, I think.
Yeah, well, plenty of good tutors in that team. So Gianni being pretty young, from what I understand, he's got some good people around him, so he'll just get quicker and quicker.
And the other one doing really well at the moment, sitting up in 5th spot, who we haven't talked about. He's had 9 spots gained today. Is Michael Whiting, the boss man of Fishy Motorsports. Under a little bit of pressure from War Boys behind, but I've just lost my train of thought. Sorry, trying to look at 2 things at once. That was Matty Whitaker, I think. Saw rolling back. Yeah. So there's boys getting past Matty Whitaker. We've got Adam Briggs a little bit further up the road. Saw the yellow paint scheme of the Fishy car and thought it was Briggsy and going, what's going on? But no, it was Michael Whiting's teammate.
Yeah, the Fishy boys, another team that support this series very strongly, and they are a bunch of boys that really enjoy their sim racing, and They always seem to be having a good time. So yeah, good to see Michael up there. He's another one that's pretty consistent with his places gained and places finished in this series.
And of course, they're always in an enduro somewhere, these boys, streaming on Facebook or YouTube, and always well worth a look. I just want to have a quick look at something here. James Scott's had an off. I just missed that. We'll go to Supercheap Auto Replay. He's just found the grass, manages to pull it up, keeps control. That's not the sort of mistake you expect to see from James, so we can see how he recovers from that. Of course, that's brought Dylan Rudd right up behind him now.
Very easy thing to do. By the look of it, that was at Southern Loop. Easy to kind of just let the car drift out to the right there, and just once it starts going, you cannot bring that thing back.
That Southern Loop is an absolute killer. It's one of the parts of this circuit I hate the most, because you just got to be so patient. You just got to wait. And it only takes a little bit of a drift there, particularly as the track's getting older with the marbles out there, and you get out there, you're gone. But it's opened up the door for Dylan Rudd here to have a crack at P2. And of course, just checking myself again. Make sure I haven't made a mistake with this, but everyone still has to do compulsory 3 pit stops. Change at least 2 tyres at each stop, and can only do 1 compulsory pit stop under a safety car. So all these boys still have to dive in one more time, Mark.
Yeah, yep. They all have to make one more pit stop. We haven't had a safety car on track yet, so if one comes, I expect pit lane to be pretty busy very quickly. But yeah, it's interesting. Andrew Dyson really kind of rolled the strategy tonight, and still has about a 4.5 second lead over James Scott. Like, James would have lost a fair bit of time with that off at Southern Loop there.
Of course, Andrew coming in on lap 12 for his first stop, and then went 20 laps for his second, where Scotty went 19 and 20. And Rudd's gone 20 and 18. So kind of expecting Dyson's going to be sitting stationary a little bit longer in his next stop, which might open the door up for Scott and Rudd. But, you know, he is 4.5 seconds up the road, like you said, which does open up the door for him to maybe have a look in here. I don't sorry, John. I think if Dylan Rudd and James Scott start kind of getting in a bit of a battle with each other, and Andrew can keep laying down some consistent lap times, you never know what might happen at the end. Absolutely. I don't think this is over yet. I think this strategy is really going to play into the hands of Dyson, and I think Scott might be okay. He might recover from that incident he had earlier where he was a little off. But keep an eye on Dyson, keep an eye on Whiting as well. I think he's the other one who's played the earlier stop game. And maybe Warboys. He's gone that early strategy as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see, Mark.
Yep, we've got just on 20 laps to go. So there's still a lot to play for here, and there's still a lot of kilometres to be covered. So just over a third of a race to go. So, or just under a third of a race, sorry. So yeah, there's still lots to play for.
Let's see now starting to get a bit racy with Young. And we might just go to this one just for one of our regular viewers, Joshy Barella. If you're out there, Joshy, how you going, mate? This one's just for you. And poor old Ash, another one getting it wrong in turn 1, heading into turn 2. So, of course, Ash running around in 34th at the moment, Josh. But Lutzu tucking in here in the draft again. Will he have another look by the time he gets down the end? Not quite.
I'm sure Paul Young's sick of that sight behind him, but he's doing a great job, like defending on the front foot, and Gianni being very patient and showing maturity beyond his years, with just doing everything right to end up in a good position at the end of the race.
And James Scott now managed to work himself up a little bit in front of Dylan Rudd. Dylan Rudd hanging onto the back of him here.
And they're both slowly eating into Andrew Dyson's lead at the moment.
As we come around, we've got a lapped car in front of us here that's just been off the track, which I think might have been Barella again, I think. As we come around the corner, do the southern loop. And Lutzu's in the pits, yes.
Yeah, looking for the undercut on Paul Young, maybe. Just trying to maybe get some clean air.
Christian Smart's rolled the dice there as well and gone in with him. Beauty permit about 3 stops. Is we're going to see a bit of light flashing. James getting a bit aggressive to get through. What we're going to see is a good old-fashioned sprint to the end. I don't think there'll be too much tyre saving in the last 18 laps.
No, it's rubber to the road and leave it all out there. There's no point going half measures now. It's all or nothing.
And Warren Davis and Hayden Norris now peel off into the pits. But great little battle here from Dylan Rudd and James Scott. And Dave Worrell was telling me that when he races his production car here at Phillip Island, that he comes out of the last corner at the same speed as what you cross the start-finish line at Eastern Creek. So it's definitely a beast of a track to race at Phillip Island.
Paul Young just entering the pits, trying to cover off Gianni, but I've got a feeling, depending on fuel levels, that you only need that one lap on good tyres to gain a pretty big advantage.
Yeah. Four Boys has rolled in as well.
It was pretty. It was pretty tight there with Paul and Gianni, but Gianni's just managed to get past him on the front straight while Paul was trying to get back up to speed.
I'm interested to see how much pace these two boys have got now, particularly with Gianni now that he's out from behind Paul. Andrew Dyson's now rolled the dice. He's headed into the pits. And James Scott under a lot of pressure as Dylan Rudd closes up the gap behind him. So War Boys has come out side by side now with Jamie Dyke, so getting past Dyke still has to stop. Blake Delaney in front still has to stop. And of course, further up the road. We'll go back up the front with James Scott, who's got a half a second gap to Dylan Rudd. So Scott, Rudd, Briggs, Chastanoof still have to stop. Andrew Dyson's the first of our 3 stoppers in 5th spot. And then we've got Blake Delaney, who's a 2-stopper, followed by Warboys, who's done 3 stops. Dyke's a 2-stopper. Whiting has done 3. Dengate's done 3. Smart's done 3. McKnight's done 2. So still plenty of stops to go here.
And my timing showing Jamie Dyke has made 3.
Okay, yeah.
He's up 16 spots, the same as Blake Delaney. So yeah, I'm not sure whether yours is right or mine's right. So
Adam
well,
Briggs
I guess we'll
ducked into the pits.
guess we'll find out at the end.
Just going to have a quick look at an off track with Briggsy. See, might be a little bit hot coming in. Taking the agricultural route to pit lane. Manages to keep the car straight. Having a rough night. Our championship leader with a blown engine and now a rough pit entry.
Yeah, I wish I could have a rough night with a blown engine and still be sitting in 5th spot.
Yeah. That's after his pit stop too. The Dylan Rudd story of the night. Qualified at P2 behind James Scott. It's kept the pressure on him the whole way. I'm sure the 9-5 supporters out there will be very proud of his performances tonight. 16. Going in.
Jamie Dyke has done his 3 stops. He's made a great strategy tonight to be up 17 spots, sitting in 7th spot currently.
Boys working their laps. I'm just going to quickly jump on Dyke for a second and go to our pit strategy board. Okay. SDK is playing funny buggers on me. These 2 boys driving very well as they both peel into the pits together. This is going to be on now. This is where the battle's at. James Scott sideways. Oh no! That is huge. Let's go to the replay on that one. Very lucky Dylan Rudd didn't collect him there as well. Manages to get car control and gets it back into the pits. Hopefully he doesn't lose too much time. As they're both sitting here. Waiting to roll up. Rudd's off the jacks first. James Scott's out second. And Andrew Dyson has come back down in front of James Scott. Wow.
Oh, yeah, that is not the usual thing you see James Scott do, and now Dylan Rudd will be doing everything he can to be mistake-free. I'm sure James is really going to throw down some quick lap times now. He'll be quite angry with himself, I'm sure.
Getting up the inside of Dyson there. Stephen Murray, no, if he got a 40-second penalty for speeding on entry, he would have got that when he stopped. So he definitely didn't get that. Definitely got it stopped in time. Just didn't have any control. As you see how James Scott goes here now. He'll have the bit between the teeth. have his head down. And he will be chasing Ruddy like there's no tomorrow. So Ruddy, 2.5 seconds, 2.6. We've got to watch that time. And of course, we're going to have traffic in the middle of this battle as well. As we've got about 13 laps to go here. I think we're up for another cracking finish, I think. We might just have a quick look through as everyone starts to settle from those pit stops. And James Chastaneuf is putting all sorts of pressure on Michael Whiting. This is battle for 8th and 9th. So looking at a gap of about 0.2 here. So it's a great drive from Michael Whiting. He's up 6 spots. And the other man sitting behind these guys is Christian Smart. Gianni Lutzu. He's up 6 spots in 11th in his first outing for 9.5 SimSport in the East Coast Series. Paul Young is under keeping a little bit of pressure on Gianni in front still, so not quite letting him walk away with it. And that's probably rounds out our top 10. As I might just quickly jump back up to Dylan Rudd. That gap's staying at 2.7 seconds. So James Scott's got to be a little bit careful he doesn't go too hard too soon.
Yeah, well, we've seen with Dylan's pace earlier tonight and on the weekend as well that he is pretty dialed into this track at the moment. So, yeah, James is going to have to really, really kind of cut loose some good lap times here to get back on the back of Dylan.
Of course, still a bit of distance to go. James Scott just setting a purple lap of a 1:27.678. So he's 0.3 faster than what Ruddy was that lap. But of course, it's one thing to catch someone, it's another thing to pass them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan showing that, he's got speed in the car as well as he dips into the 27s on the last lap as well.
And set up purple sector for sector 1. Yeah, let's jump back on James Scott. There's still plenty of gaps. He might go back to where some of the action is. Might jump back on with Chasty. Chasty and Michael Whiting. This is a fairly close battle. Might just stick with the battle packs for a little bit and just keep a little bit of an eye on James Scott's closing times. He's got it down to 2.3. Bearing in mind we've got traffic in the middle of that pack as well, so that could be affecting those gaps. But Michael Whiting and Chassis having a good battle. Paul Young and Gianni Lutzi. Paul Young is close back up on him. Well and truly. So keep an eye on that one as we get into the closing stages of the race. And Jamie Dyke is the other one who's under a fair bit of pressure from Harrison Dengate. So of course if he's had the 3 stops, Jamie Dyke's still got a long way to go on those tyres. So we'll see how that one rolls out as well. So there's a few things to keep an eye on here. As Jamie Dyke does peel in, Mark, so...
Okay, JRT, I want my money back.
I was about to say the same thing about SDK. Anyway. So, race leader, Dylan Rudd, 9.5 SimSport. Come to the series, new to the series this year. Had some heartbreaking results. Sean McNamara out in front at Bathurst and having an incident in the Murrays. It's one of the examples I'm thinking of. Also spent a bit of time watching Sean's stream, 9.5 stream, when I first started iRacing.
Yeah, everybody in this series, everybody that runs the V8, they know how much time you have to put in to be competitive. And yeah, when things go pear-shaped, they go pear-shaped pretty quickly in this car. And Dylan is a great young driver. Sean's a great team leader and a great guy to boot. And it's good to see them finally getting some luck go their way. They've made their own luck with their hard work. So, yeah, they're doing some good things at the moment, and they've assembled a good team.
Absolutely. But of course, James Scott's not going to let this fairy tale roll out that easy. See him in the background here flashing a lot of lights that lap traffic. He's closed that gap down to 2 seconds now.
There's a video of somebody with steam coming out their helmet I've seen on YouTube sometime, and I'm sure that's what was happening with James Scott after that pit entry.
That wouldn't have been a certain co-host racing around Long Island, would it? You can't prove or deny. Can't confirm or deny that one, Mark.
I'll have to get my people to contact your people on that one.
That was quite entertaining, that video clip.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. A race Sarge, thought you were a pro.
So Chasty's still putting a lot of pressure on Michael Whiting here in front of him. Dengate's cleared out from these boys a bit. And Christian Smart's not too far down the road behind them. And Harrison's worked his way up the 6th. That's another great drive, tucked in behind Adam Briggs and War Boys. And that gap up the front still staying at about 2 seconds at the moment. Or closed just a little bit just then. Let's just jump on and have a look at Scotty, see what he's looking at. He's got himself clear of the traffic now, so now we're going to get a real genuine look at pace.
Yeah, so it was about a 10th difference on their last lap, so there's not a lot in it. We're running out of laps. We've got about 8.5 laps to go, so yeah, he needs to find more than a 10th a lap at the moment.
And might just try sector times, see if I get the sector times of the car in front. There we go. So he is closing that gap a little bit.
Yeah, traffic will be critical in these closing 8 laps.
And Gianni Paul battle, it's definitely about to kick off. It's a few battles floating around. Hey, Scotty doing all pressure on him here. A little bit of light flashing as well to let him know that he's behind Dylan. That gap closing again, another 0.048 in the sector 3 in the last lap. And they're pretty level through sector 1, so we might just go back, have a quick look here. Chasty's now right up alongside Michael Whiting. And for those following along at home, Jamie Dyke came back out in the 15th after that last pit stop. And
yeah, still a good gain from Jamie. He's up 9 spots at the moment. The big gain tonight is from Jared Bailey, up 24 spots. So that's a great drive from Jared so far.
Started from rear of grid. The old Rapid Racing Team Rensport driver doing really well, which is great to see. I think he's missed a few rounds, so it's good to have him back on deck. Gianni and Paul, this battle here still quite tightly contested. So keep a close eye on this one.
Shout out to Matty Skull, showing good awareness there to let Dylan through and not hold him up at all. With James Scott now coming up to lap Matthew Skull, so I'm sure Matthew will do the right thing by James as well.
Yep, nicely peels to the outer apex. So this battle now is down to 1.2 seconds. Laps are ticking down. See puff of dust coming up from Rudd in front, using the whole track and some. Dylan under a lot of pressure here.
But James made up 2.5 tenths on the last lap, so that's a pretty big gain.
Of course, having the man who holds the iRacing World Champion track time running behind you in the closing laps of a 300-kilometre race would be quite nerve-wracking, I reckon. But Dylan showing nerves of steel here. Just keep a bit of an eye on those other battle packs. Still 0.4 seconds between Lutzu and Young, and 0.4 seconds between Chastity and Whiting. The other battles rounding out the top 10. Stephen Varga running in 12th, which is good to see as well.
Yeah, Varg's doing a good job as usual. He's down a couple of spots, but just outside the top 10, and I'm sure he's enjoying his racing tonight. He always loves, you know, a good banter and a good chat, and yeah, he loves his racing. So good to see Vargs out there doing well.
Yeah. Doing race control for Split One of Vets this season as well. I think he's pulled out a bit of hair, I think, along the way with that one. But it's great to see an experienced driver like himself sitting on the other side of the fence. And yourself too, Mark. I've noticed you've been in there a couple of times since you've been back as well.
Yeah, been giving Vargs a hand. He's always a colourful character to do some work with, and yeah, he's just an all-round good guy to enjoy your sim racing experience with.
Oh, Paul Young having a bit of a look there on Litsu, and Stephen Varga's now under pressure as well from Blake Delaney behind. Just trying to keep an eye on a few of these gaps here.
Yeah, quick mention to Damien Johnson as well, who lost a whole bunch of positions on lap 1. He's battled himself back to P14 at the moment, so that's a good drive coming back from Damien without any safety cars.
Yeah, he's definitely showed some pace here on the weekend as well, Damien. I know he's quite a quick driver around Phillip Island, so life not made easy with a bit of bad luck, but at least he's made lemonade out of it. So these boys here having a ding-dong battle. Of course, Paul Young and Gian Lutzi having a ding-dong battle. Paul Young definitely putting a lot of pressure on him. And Blake Delaney working very hard to try and get past Stephen Vargas. So there's plenty of battles around at the moment.
Yeah, plenty of battles. James Scott's got this gap down to just around a second at the moment. I've just been watching him go into Honda and Lukey, and it looks like he's been going super deep. I don't know how that car missed both drivers then.
Was that Michael Brennan, was it?
I think it was Michael Brennan. He just missed his teammate on one side of the track, and
had a little bit of running on to the right, boys.
incredible how he missed both leaders then.
Can someone organise some new underwear for James Scott, please? I know this battle here. I'd come back and have a look at that one later if I remember.
we're about to come to 3 laps to go. The gap is 0.8 of a second at the moment and closing. So it's on for young and old in these last 3 laps.
Oh, absolutely. We've still got a little bit of lap traffic. It's going to open up a bit more. Sean McNamara summing that up as wow. I think that was pretty much sums it up for all. I want to go to the onboard of James's car replay, but I'll do that once everyone's finished because this battle here is absolutely riveting. As Mark said, with 3 laps to go. That gap's now down to 0.6, so it's closing and closing fast.
Yeah, James seemed to be just going so deep at Honda and the same at Lukey. He just seems to be, you know, like throwing caution to the wind and it's taken his chance as far as he can push it at them 2 corners.
Just their braking skill is just phenomenal. You get to this level, another big lunge here. But Dylan would have to be starting to think about defensive driving. And Liuzzi's still in front of Young and Whiting still in front of Chastaneuf, so nothing's changed in those battles. Same thing with Varga and Delaney, it's still very tight. But we'll stay here because this is where the battle is for the lead. As Damien Blake Delaney, I think, might have had an off, so that battle's been solved, I think. Yep, Blake Delaney's had an off. We'll come back to that one later. Oh, a bit twitchy coming out from Rudd there. James Scott, another big dive at Honda. Gap now down to 0.3 seconds. So the front of the car of Rudd there a little bit twitchy. James Scott will be looking at that going, maybe this is my opportunity coming down in MG on the last lap. Coming up over Lukey Heights, down into MG. Rudd driving a fairly non-defensive line. As we're about to cross last corner and we're about to come around and take the white flag. Strap it in. This is the last lap. What can James Scott do here?
This is a grandstand finish for the V8s at Phillip Island.
Oh, absolutely. You come into the southern loop. Nicely gets up close, tucks in behind here. James Scott, P2. Dylan Rudd, P1 right in front of us here. Are we going to see a big dive in the Honda? Or is he going to wait for MG? Rudd's got the gap out to 0.3. Could be a bit much. Rudd goes defensive. Scott deep under brakes there. Gets it pulled up. Nice, good drive out of the corner there for Rudd as we come down in Siberia. A little bit sideways, a little bit twitchy. James Scott will be looking at that now going, can I get the pace to take them behind? Gap's at 0.2. 0.25. He's closing. He's closing. Coming up over Lukey Heights. He's closed that gap to 0.919. Does he go the dive here into MG? Rudd defence. Are we going to see it? Rudd's got to get around these next 2 corners. Got to keep control. Gap goes out. Into the last corner, a little bit loose. A little bit of push, but he gets back to the apex. He comes around. Dylan Rudd is our race winner. 0.28 seconds from James Scott. Doing a little bit of fun there. And in 3rd place, Andrew Dyson manages to bring it home in 3rd with that different strategy. Blake Warboys, he'll bring it home in 4th. ahead of championship leader Adam Briggs. Great try from War Boys. Briggsy brings it home in 5th. Harrison Dengate going to bring it home in 6th. The other great battle we had was Michael Whiting. Michael Whiting's going to get it home in front of Chastity. And then Christian Smart will come home in 9th, and the round out our top 10 will be Gianni Luzzi on debut in the East Coast Series. What a great effort for another one of the 9.5 drivers. And then Paul Young brings it home in 11th from Stephen Varga, Damien Johnstone, Jamie Dyke with the long strategy come home in 14th. Ahead of Blake Delaney, Craig Schultz, Jared Bailey and McKnight. Bailey up 24 spots. And then McKnight, of course, is going to come home in 18th. So what an epic race we've just had.
Yeah, that was some very exciting final few laps. James Scott threw everything at Dylan. Dylan proven that his driving has matured, especially over the last 12 months. He's really shown that he's matured as a driver. He was able to withstand the pressure, didn't make any mistakes, drove really smart on that last lap, covered himself into MG where James Scott had been so strong all night and collected a very, very, very worthy win.
Absolutely. I think the 9.5 boys will be ecstatic with that one. I think the Synergy Sim Racing boys will be ecstatic with that one. I think considering everything that's happened over 300 Ks, I think everyone has done really well. I just want to go back and have a look at that Michael Brennan off track. I'll try and do this as slow motion. If I can change drivers. We'll go to Michael Brennan with that off track on the replay. And we'll jump on board with James Scott. And go gyro. So James Scott coming down here. He's got Dylan Rudd in front of him. Thinking, yep, this is all good. We're just going to keep running here. Probably see the car off in the side. Wouldn't think too much of it. All of a sudden, hello. Wow. That would have been epic. And we might take the opportunity to bring in our third place man, Andrew Dyson. We'll have a chat to Andrew. Andrew, congratulations on P3, mate.
Hey lads, how are you?
Yeah, good. Self?
Pretty good, man. Yeah, not too bad. That was unexpected.
Yeah, it was actually. You sort of had that different strategy that you were running, and it was quite interesting just to see how that played out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I had to try something different. I think the start of the race probably was a bit of a slow start. So once I kind of fell off the front three, I had to try something a bit different, and it pretty much meant the whole way I was by myself. It was a bit lonely, and whenever they got to me, I had nothing to fight with. But you know, it made it a little bit interesting for me anyway to see how it would shake out.
Oh, that's good. Good to go, mate. Different livery on today.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Exodus Racing. It's a brand by simrix.com. So if you want to, suss out the little bits and pieces on the website, go check it out. Small plug there. I hate to do it.
Set it up for it.
Yeah.
We did notice a different livery, so no, that's good to know that one.
Yeah, cool, man.
Anyone else you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, for sure. The lads in DPR, BMX Mechanical, Phoenix Smokers, South Ellison Horse, and Neil for the kind of new but just rehashed old livery that we kind of did up. But yeah, it's pretty cool anyway. So
yeah,
cheers, man.
That's all right. And what we might do now is, I haven't got James in the green room. We might bring in our race winner and have a chat to Dylan Rudd. Dylan, congratulations on an epic win, mate.
Cheers, mate.
You would have been sweating a bit for those last couple of laps with James coming at a rate of knots like he was.
Yeah, definitely. It was intense race the whole way. So yeah, it was good fun, and yeah, a lot of definitely sweaty after that one.
You seem to have really done well with Phillip Island this season. So plenty of laps of practice put in, or just things are just starting to click a little bit more with the 9.5 setups.
Phillip Island was always a track I was quick at, so yeah, just over time, obviously got better at. But yeah, Phillip Island is definitely one of my better tracks, I would say.
It's good, mate. It's good to see a different winner. Good to see the 9.5 boys up on the podium. You got Macca in the chat, mate, so you better get this all right. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'll thank Sean for everything he does behind the scenes for the team, etc. Our sponsors, Racecraft, Simulations, RSW Graphics, Racing Ears, Custom Ear Protection, and Cutting Edge Tracks, and you guys for putting on the broadcast and commentary.
It was a pleasure, mate. You boys put on an entertaining race like that. It makes it quite easy for us to commentate and very enjoyable to watch. For a 300k race, that went very quickly. And yeah, a lot of the time we didn't really know where to look, to be honest. Yeah, so, thanks to you boys for putting on a good show as well. We might bring in James as well, our second place getter. He's jumped in the green room. James, congratulations on P2, mate. It looks like you really worked hard to chase down Dylan there, but a little bit, be a little bit flustered from that pit entry that you had. Hello, James. I think you stepped away from the computer for a minute. That's all right. Yeah, so
He might be breaking the computer after that pit entry.
Yeah, I was very lucky you didn't get a speed in the pits as well, so he did very well to control that. So, but just showed his class really to hunt Dylan down, and it was just an epic drive with people on different strategies and people going in every different direction. Just really highlights where this series is at the moment, and of course, just a reminder that we do have season 4 coming up soon. So, you back, James?
You got me?
Yeah, got you now, mate. What a drive, mate, for P2. You'd be ruining now that little incident coming into pit lane.
The sound issues pretty much sum up my night, to be quite honest. My sound was cutting in and out, and my gear shifts were about not working 50% of the time, so made it pretty tough for a 300k race. Probably why you saw me go off the track at turn 2 and spin into the pit, because I couldn't time my blip for basically the whole race, which was annoying. But anyway, it was a good race.
You did well then, considering the circumstances you had to fight for P2, mate. So hats off to you, and I'm sure the Synergy Sim Racing boys would be pretty proud of what you've still achieved. Is anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, obviously all the guys at SSR. Been working really well. The car was okay, but probably didn't get to show it tonight. And obviously you had Briggs up there as well, and he blew a motor. So, but that was all good. So, congratulations to Dylan and Andrew on the win in P3, and obviously all our sponsors: Waverun Performance, Smith and Sons, Too Easy Finance, West End Mazda, JK Signs, and all the guys at SSR. We've been working really well lately, and hopefully we can keep it going.
JR's in the chat, so I'm sure he's pretty happy with you getting him all right that time. Next week, mate, we're off to Sandown for 250Ks. Any thoughts about that one, guys? Dylan and Andrew, James?
Yeah, keen for that. New track on the sim. So, is it 250Ks or?
Yeah, 250Ks.
Yeah, it should be a good race. Plenty of drafting. Obviously, just have to have a strong car under brakes. So we're in real life, so have to see what we can come up with.
It'll be quite good to see. And of course, we're back here on WK&P TV at 10 to 8 next Tuesday night. And we might start off by congratulating Dylan Rudd again on his maiden victory in the East Coast Series. And we only have 2 rounds left. And I just really want to thank you boys, the drivers. You're all putting on a great show. Enjoyable for us to come and watch every week. Yeah, so big thank you to you guys. And any last words from you, Mark?
No, yeah, big thank you to all the drivers, especially the 3 on the podium tonight. They really showed their class. There were some great battles up and down the field. I'm sure Dylan will be asking Michael Brennan what he was doing on that last lap. That was incredible how he missed both lead drivers there. And yeah, looking forward to Sandown. That track came out while I was away on the road, so I haven't done a lap of it. I've bought the track, but I haven't driven it. So it'll be interesting to see how these boys go on it next week.
Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. So on that note, we might leave it there, and we will catch up with everybody again next week. Big thank you to all the people in the chat tonight commenting: Macca, JR, Stephen Murray, Will Wilson, and everyone else who I haven't mentioned. No, the guys, well, we keep coming back and doing it every week. These guys and the drivers, and really enjoy it. So on that note, good night, everybody, and we'll see you all next week.